Hey everybody, this is Connor here. Connor's English Corner. It's been a little while. GURREN LAGANN's been out for about a month now. Haven't really been any big events for it to show up in, so we haven't really seen many results from it. But here's my series overview for it. A little table of contents here you can read. I'm gonna try to get through this one pretty fast because there are a lot of cards on here. Just because the series has a couple different decks you can build that don't really overlap too much in cards. So yeah, without further ado, I'm just going to hop right into it. So here's our important cards, which actually might be a little bit of a loose definition. As far as our advantage combos go, for the main builds, we have the Trial Deck Level 1 Heaven Piercing Drill LAGANN. It's a 5500 and climax combo with a stock soul. When it reverses battle opponent, if the climax is in play, you can choose a character in waiting room and turn it to hand. It's not trait specific, so you can salvage the non-Team GURREN cards with this one, and it's one of two salvage combos that the set has. Next we have Communa. So this guy's one of the double rares, and probably the one that you're going to see most people playing for an advantage combo. During your own turn, he gains 1500 power, so he's a 6000, and he combos with a shot trigger when he reverses battle opponent if the climax is in play and you have another Team GURREN character, which is pretty easy, but he's not super, he's not just completely splashable, but it's still not too strict of a restriction. You can search your deck for a Team GURREN, reveal it to your opponent, put it in hand, shuffle, and he gains the following ability until the end of the opponent's next turn. Whenever he is attacked, doesn't matter if it's front or side, if you have 2 or fewer cards in memory, put this into memory. Mandatory. So it's kind of like Aaron, where he removes himself from the battlefield to dodge reverse effects, but unlike Aaron, he does not go back to your hand, he sends himself to memory, which there is one card that checks for him in memory that we'll get to. But in general, it's just not as high quality of a plus, but you still get your specific search off and whatnot. The last combo we have is GURREN LAGANN Double Boomerang Spiral. So this is during your turn. It gets plus 500 for each of your other Team GURREN characters. So on a full board of Team GURREN, he's a 65. Also combos with a stock soul. When this card attacks, if Dueling with the Moon is in your climax area, you can pay 1 stock. If you do, choose this card and one of your other characters, and they both gain on reverse salvage. Again, not trait restricted. So this one and the Trial Deck combo are both sort of, I guess, kind of interchangeable. This guy's bigger on offense, the other one's bigger on defense, and this one costs a stock but gives you an extra salvage. So kind of interchangeable, and they both aren't trait restricted on the salvage, so you can splash them into sort of off trait builds, which we'll see in my next video actually. Alright, as far as brainstorms go, there's 3 in the set for the main traits. You got Simon the Digger. At the beginning of your climax phase, if you have a Communa, you choose any of your characters. It doesn't have to be the Communa, and it gets 1000 power till end of turn. And he is a pay 1 self-rest, brainstorm to draw a card for each climax you reveal. So this is just a standard Trial Deck brainstorm effect, with the 1k boost. We have Unexpected Kiss Yoko. During your turn, your other character in the middle position of your center stage gets 500 and cannot be chosen by your opponent's effects. So this is pretty good for protecting early plays and protecting finishers and stuff. And it has pay 1 rest 2. For each climax that you hit on your brainstorm, you search your deck for a Team GURREN. So this is trait restricted search, as most of them are. And it's rest 2, but it's our only search brainstorm option, so there you have that. Here we have To Save the Woman I Love, Simon. It's a global 500 to all Team GURREN characters with a marker. And we'll see a lot of characters that actually deal with having markers under them. So he is a global 500 to most things, and he is a self-rest brainstorm that salvages GURREN. So it is trait restricted on the salvage, which is notable because you can't splash him super hard. And it also means that most of our brainstorms Most of our good brainstorms are trait locked into Team GURREN, but most of the cards in the set are Team GURREN, so not a huge issue. Yeah, so we'll see some of the cards that this guy interacts with a little later. He's generally considered the best brainstorm just because he's self-rest, whereas the Yoko has to rest too. But some other utility options we have. This is from the trial deck. This is just a Married Life Asuna clone. 500 assist, give 1,000 when you play a climax. Probably not going to see play in a whole lot outside of Yoko decks, but it can... all your combos are reverse, so this does get you some extra power onto the board. Here we have I Have to Know, Kial and Kyo. The deck does have a large number of, like, high power defensive characters. So the deck might be able to take a sort of, like, counter-step defensive approach. And this lets you give 1,000 power to a character when you use an act ability. And at the beginning of main phase, it can sack itself off to salvage a 2/1 backup. So this can sort of be a backer on like a counter-based strategy. I don't know that any decks will pop up with that, but it's worth mentioning. Here we have Yomako's students, Maosha and Nakim. So this bonds to a 2/1 Yomako that we'll see a bit later. And it has Act, pay 1, put this into Waiting Room. Look at up to 4 cards from the top of your deck. Choose a yellow character from among them. So it's not super open on what you can grab. It has to be yellow. Reveal it, put it in your hand, put the rest in your Waiting Room. Sort of a stock costed, sort of like Azusa effect, not quite. It gives you a little bit of mill in a deck that doesn't have a lot otherwise. And if you're playing the Yomako engine, then this is a card you're going to want to be playing. One noteworthy thing is that this is not Team GURREN trait, so you can't search it off of a lot of stuff. So that's kind of an issue. Here we have Girls' Feelings, Liron. This is just a standard drop search for Team GURREN. If you want discard out, that lets you get your pieces consistently. Here we have Nia, one of the better cards in the set. On play, you can put the top card of your stock into your clock, search your deck for level 1 or lower character, reveal it to your opponent, put it in hand, shuffle your deck. It's a very, very standard effect archetype. Most people call it Riki, Akane, whatever. You see it in a lot of sets nowadays. The cost on this one's a little different. Normally it's pay 1, put the top card of your deck into your clock. So this one, for better or worse, you know what you're putting in your clock. And you aren't milling a card. Effectively milling a card off the top of your deck. So I don't think it's really any like better or worse than normal, but it's worth noting it's a different cost. Here we have Beastman Viral. So this is on play, pay 1, discard 1 to choose a character in Waiting Room, return it to hand. So instead of a drop search, it's a drop salvage, not trait restricted. His other effect, he has a level 0 clock bomb, so when he becomes reversed, if his battle opponent's level 0 or lower, you can send the top card of your opponent's clock to Waiting Room, and if you do, you can put that character into the opponent's clock. So at 1k power, he can deny things like Inazuma's, he can deny like Hibiki anti-heals, anything like that that needs to reverse and send itself somewhere specific or has an on Waiting Room effect, you can sort of deny with this guy. And he's a drop search or drop salvage, so he adds a little bit of utility to the deck and discard outs. We have Elusive Old Coco. So on play, you can discard a card to choose a Team GURREN flag, which is a 2/1 yellow event, in your Waiting Room, return it to hand. And he also bonds by discarding a card to add Believing Heart Nia from the Waiting Room back to hand, which is the 3/2 Nia. So we'll see both of those in a little bit, but he's basically just a like double discard out that gets you some decent utility cards. We have First Swimsuit Nia. This is a global 500 to Team GURREN, and when you level up, you can pay 2 stock to search your deck for a Team GURREN character, reveal it, put it in hand, shuffle. A lot of the GURREN LAGANN builds are, or at least like 1 or 2 of them, are very light on stock and don't really need any stock going into top end. And in those builds, this is a pretty good secondary advantage engine to have. So I've played around with this card a little bit and I've been liking it. We have Biocomputer Lord Genome Head. It can't move. Got a nice little bit of flavor there. So once you put it down somewhere, it's stuck there. So be careful with that. It is a plus 500 assist, and act, you can pay 1 and send it to waiting room to add the 3-0 event counter. That's what I was waiting for, from your waiting room to your hand. And again, that's a card that we'll get to a little bit later. Here from the trial deck, we have LAGANN. So this can rest itself to give a Team GURREN 1500 power. It's also part of a combo that we'll see a little later. But as far as this effect goes, it works nicely with your like on reverse level 1 effects, since it can give a like a pretty decent bit of power to them. 1500's a lot. Here we have a proper member of Team GURREN, Buta. This card is, I think, has pretty widely been considered one of the best cards in the set, just because of the amount of utility it offers. On play, you reveal the top card of your deck. If it's level 2 or higher, you put it into your stock. And then whenever you play a climax area, you can return this card to your hand to give a character plus 2000 power. And it's not trait locked into anything, so you can just play it in whatever. But it bounces itself, so you can keep playing it and keep top checking to put a level 2 or higher into stock, and giving power to your like reverse combos and stuff at the same time. So it has really good synergy with like pretty much the rest of the set. Here we have Strong Will Simon. So this is on play, you can discard 1 to add Core Drill from your waiting room to your hand, which is a 2-0 event. So you can see we got like a lot of our discard outs are our event bonds here, which isn't the greatest thing because not a lot of these events are things you want to be playing, but most of them aren't too terrible. Then we have a Box Topper promo, Charge into the Wilderness, Team GURREN. This is on play, you discard a Climax, specifically a Climax, to choose a Team GURREN character in waiting room, return it to hand. This is a pretty good card, since one of the issues is discard outs to good targets in the deck. Normally what you're wanting to discard is Climaxes anyway. And this lets you get any Team GURREN character you want, so this card's really worth considering. Moving to level 1s, we have Reliable Mechanic Lete. This is during your turn. All your other Team GURREN characters get 1000 power, and all of your other Team GURREN characters get Encore 2. So again, in the more stock light builds, the Encore 2 is actually pretty good, because it lets you keep like 2 2s and 3 2s and whatever alive easily. And the Global 1K is, again, good with all your reverse combos. So even though this set doesn't have any combos that generate advantage without needing to reverse, or at least not any in the good traits, it does have like a lot of support to get them the power they need. Which doesn't really help against Attack on Titan, but you know, can't win everything. Here we have Team GURREN's Head Cook Nia. A lot of people are pretty torn on this card, whether it's good or not. I know a lot of people have been playing this in their lists and really liking it. It's an assist. All of your Team GURREN characters in front of this card get plus 500 power and character encore. On play, you give a character on your opponent's center stage cooking and minus 2000 power. So it's kind of inadvertently helping with your like reverse combos and stuff. And act, you can rest it to choose a Simon and stand it, and it gets cooking until end of turn. The cooking part's completely irrelevant, but you can restand your Brainstorm to Brainstorm twice in a turn, which I don't see being super great. There's not really any other Simons that you need to stand, so I don't know what else to do with that besides like your Brainstorm, but Character Encore is pretty neat, because you can Encore like early plays and stuff, if they die. We have GURREN, which this card's pretty good. On play, you pay 1, discard 2, to choose 2 characters in your waiting room with LAGANN in their card name, return them to hand, and then give a Team GURREN character plus 1000 power. So there's a bunch of level 1s with LAGANN in their name, and the level 1 combos. I think both of them, at least the double rare from the set is GURREN LAGANN, so that's a good target. There's some level 1 beaters. I don't remember if the trial deck one has LAGANN in its name or not, but you can go back and check. This has like lots of good targets, and it's like a double discard out, and only costs 1 stock. So this is a pretty nice card to have. Moving to level 2s, we have Science Bureau Chief Liron. It's a level assist, and on play you can discard a climax to add a Team GURREN character from waiting room to hand. So same second effect as the red box topper promo, but this one's on a costed body, and you can't do it until level 2, so that's obvious drawback there. And otherwise it's just a level assist. Here we have the Team GURREN flag, which the elusive old Coco bonds to. It's a 2/1, search your deck for 2 Team GURREN characters, reveal them, put them in hand, and then discard one, and shuffle. So it's just for 1 stock, it turns itself into 2 cards and you ditch 1. So it's a break even for 1 stock, but it lets you get a lot of selectivity. And with Coco being able to discard a card to grab it, you can turn pretty much whatever in your hand into whatever you need. Here's Cordrill. So this is the event that the Simon level 0 bonds to. It's a brainstorm effect. You cannot play it if you don't have a Team GURREN character. Pretty standard. You've brainstorm for 3, and then salvage a level X or lower Team GURREN character, and then give a character 3,000 power until end of turn. X is the number of Team GURREN characters you hit on the brainstorm. So this is Operation Tornado from Angel Beats, but it gives 3,000 power, so it's a 2/0 instead of a 1/0. Honestly, I think it would have been better as a 1/0 that didn't give the power, but oh well. As far as some attackers you have, just beaters throughout the game. You have the girl from the surface, Yoko. So this is just your standard free runner from the trial deck. Just generically really good card. It's also nice because it lets you dodge like crashes and stuff. So you can leave reverse targets for your combos, and your opponent can't crash into you. We have Bro, Kamina. So it's just 35 can't side attack from the trial deck. I'm only mentioning this because there are a couple cards that mention like markering this from waiting room and stuff. We have Team Super Galaxy GURREN Yoko. This is a level 0 stock bomb, and on play you can give a level 2 or higher character 3,000 power. So it doesn't help with your reverse combos, but you can pump some of your later gameplays, which is okay. And it's a stock bomb that's 500 power, so you actually hit everything, whereas the Viral misses on 500 power characters. We have King Kitan, which is a 4K if you have 2 or less stock, and he's also involved with a level 3 combo that we'll see later. We have Jorgen and Balambo. This is a 0/035 that you can't play event cards in backup from your hand, but at the beginning of your opponent's attack phase, you can pay 1 to choose one of your GURREN characters and this card, and exchange them as stand. So it's a field swap at level 0. Which lets you do some pretty interesting stuff with, like, moving, like, if your opponent puts, like, a reverse combo in front of this, you can swap this with a runner and then run out of the way, or you can swap this with just something bigger that they can't reverse. So it gives you some pretty interesting lines of play to deny, like, reverse combos and stuff, which is pretty neat. We have Drill Power LAGANN. This is just a level 0 reverse bomb. So it just reverses its battle opponent. So you can't really deny effects with this, but you still trade 1 for 1 with it. And on attack, it gives a Team GURREN character plus X power, where X is 500 multiplied by the number of other Team GURREN characters you have. So this is effectively like Shimakaze Kai. There's a Kirito and Sword Art that does this. This one's on a level 0, so maybe a little more utility in that aspect. It's also a bomb. So even if you're not using it to pump a combo or something, you can still trade 1 for 1 with it pretty easily. Level 1, we have Warrior Brimming with Life Experience, Maken. So this guy is a stock bomb for cost 0 or lower. So this guy does hit 1/0s and 0/0s obviously. But being able to hit 1/0s means you can threaten like errands with him. This guy plus the field swap, the Jorgen and Balambo, you can like swap this guy around so he's in front of errands, and the errands still get their maneuver gear salvages, but they can't return the errands to hand, so they lose their playable attacker and only go +1 instead of +2, which is like, it's still not super beneficial for you, but it's a better trade than just letting them free farm you, I guess. We have Sniper Yoko. This is just a pretty standard on play 500 times number of characters you have. Just a fat beater, like, and then it dies on your opponent's turn. We have Zorthy, so this is actually just Shimakaze Kai. except it's at level 1, so it's a little bigger of a body. And it's in yellow instead of red. We have Masculinity is about Fighting Spirit Kamina. This is a 104k, but if you have the trial deck Draw Brainstorm, it is a 107k, which is big. So if you want to play the trial deck Brainstorm, or if you want a 107k, you can play the trial deck Brainstorm, and you get this option. We have a promo, one shot to finish them all Yoko. If the character facing this card is level 0 or lower, this card cannot become reverse. So 1-0 reverse combos just can't actually do anything to this Yoko, which is pretty cool. This is another thing you can move around with the Jorgun and Balambo field swap to like deny combos and stuff. It also usually just generates decent advantage regardless because it doesn't die. You struggle against like standby decks that play 1/1s, and obviously anything with an early play can just kill it once they move into level 2. But still a neat card that a lot of people were pretty excited over. In red, we have its name is GURREN. So this is a trial deck level 1. It's a 65, but it gets minus 4k if there's no markers under it. And on play, you can marker the 0035 Kamina or the level 3 trial deck Kamina from your waiting room under it. We have a 1-0, this is an Ellie clone or a Taige clone. Gets 500 for each of the other Team GURREN characters. So just a generic like 6/5 beater on a full board. Moving into counters, we've got some pretty cool counters in the set. First you have the generic, just like 2k level 1 counter. It is in green, which is a little interesting. But as long as you have a GURREN character, a Team GURREN character on your stage, you can give a character 1,000. A character in battle, an extra 1,000. So it's a 2,000 backup. Notable is that you don't have to be backing up a Team GURREN character. You just have to have one somewhere on your board. So you can use this to like back up anti-spirals and stuff, which is neat. We have Dreadnought Captain Dayaka. So this is the backup that the 0-0 that gives 1,000 on act ability bonds to, or it can like sack itself at main phase to salvage. When you use the backup, reveal top card of your deck. If it's Team GURREN, put it in hand, discard one. This is like the Leafa counter from Sword Art. And it's just a 25 2/1 counter, pretty standard. We have an anti-change counter, Evolution by Spiral Power Buddha, another 2/125. The cost is discarding 2 to anti-change to Waiting Room, which, from my experience, the deck probably can't handle too well. But I guess in general, like anti-change is pretty good right now, because Love Live Sunshine's running around everywhere, and being able to pop like Yos and stuff is pretty good. So here's the counter that the Lord Genome had. Can sack itself to grab. So 3-0. You play it if the number of cards in your clock is 4 or more. So you have to have 4 or more clock. Choose 2 Team GURREN characters in your hand and put them in your waiting room. If you do, perform the following effects once each in any order. So it's a 3-0, but you have to be level 3 with 4 clock and discard 2, like 3 total, including itself. You give a level 3 character in battle minus 3 soul. So you're often like effectively anti-damaging your opponent. You can add a Giga Drill Break from your waiting room to your hand, which is a 3/2 event that we'll see later. And you can put the top 2 cards of your deck into your stock. So it's kind of like a 3-2 event, which is cool because it gives you the stock to actually play the Giga Drill Break, even if you don't have any otherwise. And it acts as an anti-damage. So this is actually, it seems like a kind of like, maybe overwhelming like go big meme card or something, but it's actually pretty decent, assuming the deck can find the room to play it. It's just very like specific on its use and needs you to play like a lot of cards, or like at least itself and the Giga Drill Breaks to make it work, which does eat deck slots. Next we have a promo, We Are Team GURREN. So this was a shop promo for July. When you use the backup, if you have a Team GURREN character, choose a character in battle, it gets 1,000 until end of turn. And then it's a 2/1 counter. So it's a 35 total if you have a GURREN character in battle, or if you have a GURREN character on board, rather. So for level 2 plays in the deck, we have Make the Impossible Possible, Kamina. It's just an anti-change stock bomb. So yeah, just if your opponent has like something a higher level than them, you can send it to stock and pull out one of their stock. When this guy gets reversed, it's unfortunately a stock bomb, which isn't the best at dealing with Yo, which I think is probably the most impactful early play right now. Since if you send a Yo to stock, they can just pay it out on the next Chica, but it is still an option. Here we have Yoko, which is -1 level in hand if you have 2 or fewer climaxes in waiting room. On play, you heal, and on attack, you choose one of your other characters. I really wish it could give it to itself. That would make this card a lot better, but choose one of your other characters, and it gets the following ability. When battle opponent becomes reversed, pay 1, discard 1, deal 1 damage. It's unfortunately not the most efficiently costed burn or anything, but it's still fine. And in the less resource intensive decks, you can often do this a couple times. It's just some extra damage push. We have GURREN. So this is from the trial deck. It's a 2/1 on play. You can choose up to 2 cards in your waiting room named Combine GURREN LAGANN, which is the trial deck level 3, and put them at the bottom of your deck in any order. And then it has a fusion effect, which is actually the first fusion in English. You put a card named LAGANN from your stage face up underneath this card as a marker. And then you search your deck for Combine GURREN LAGANN, which is the level 3 you put on the bottom of your deck. Put it on the stage position, and the 2/1 and the 0/0 become markers under it. So you're paying 1 and losing a card from your hand, the 0/0, to get the 3/2. So instead of paying 2 to play the 3/2, you're paying 1 and discarding 1, effectively. But it also means the 3/2 comes in with markers under it, which doesn't actually help the 3/2, as you can see here. But it does mean that things that give global power to your 3/2s, or to your things with markers, rather, give power to this 3/2 now. So when it's placed on stage from hand or by fusion, you draw 2, discard 1, which actually refunds the 1 card that you put into this, so you're really just paying a stock and breaking even on hand, which is pretty efficient for an early play. And then auto, when battle opponent becomes reversed, pay 1, discard 1, deal damage. Same effect that the Yoko gives to stuff. Unfortunately, a lot of things have this on reverse pay 1, ditch 1 burn, which is kind of unfortunate because reverse is not the best condition. But this one does work on both players' turns, since it's just inherent on him. So if your opponent crashes into your early play, you can burn them. As far as level 3 plays go in the deck, we have I'll be seeing you soon, you bozos, Keaton. So this is a pretty efficient combo. It's one of the only combos that cantrips. So on play, you check top 3, add 1 to hand, put the rest in waiting room, which is good because he can dig for his own climax, and he can put the level 0 King Keatons into your waiting room. And then climax combo, at the end of the attack, if a card named So This Is the Power of the Spiral is in your climax area, and during that turn, damage dealt by this card was cancelled, you can pay 1, discard 1, and put this into waiting room to choose a King Keaton in your waiting room and put it on any position of your stage. So the reason it's important that it's at the end of the attack, it means that you go through the power comparison step, and you can put the Yoko on reverse, pay 1, ditch 1, burn onto these Keatons, and if they cancel your main attack, it procs your skill, but also if you reverse them and pay 1, ditch 1, and they cancel the burn one, if they take the attack and then cancel the burn one, that procs the skill as well. So it gives you a little bit of extra nice leeway there. However, it does also lead to the issue of if they cancel your attack and then in power comparison they send you to memory or something with an on reverse memory kick or whatever, you can't resolve skill because you can't send this to waiting room. So it's kind of a double-edged sword there. But combos with a shot and effectively just gives you extra attacks if they cancel. It's sort of like a restander in most aspects. We have the 3/2 Simon, Team Gurren's leader Simon. On play, you heal. Climax combo, when the battle opponent becomes reversed, if the comeback trigger is in your climax area, you can pay 1, discard 1, deal 4 damage to your opponent. So kind of comparable to Last Shot Xenon. Costs 1 less stock, but you do have to reverse your opponent, which is this day and time not the easiest thing. mainly just due to Attack on Titan running around everywhere. Unfortunately, that is the standard by which we play the game now. And his last ability is Act, pay 1, put a card named Kamina, which is the level 1 combo, from your memory, face up underneath this as a marker. Until end of opponent's turn, this gets 25, and during this card's battle, your opponent cannot play backup from hand. So he can protect himself from like being backupped over, and he gets relatively big. He's a 12k until end of opponent's turn if you do that, so 13 with the climax. So those two do work together, and the deck kind of like pushes you to play like both combos together. A lot of lists will play this guy. They'll play the comeback just because it's a comeback and it gives you sort of secondary advantage. And play this guy as a healer, and like sometimes you resolve the combo if you get a reverse target. Here we have Giga Drill Break, which is the event that the like 3-0 Lord Genome event grabs. You choose a character with GURREN LAGANN in its card name, or a card named King Akitan. So specifically the yellow 0-0, or any of the like 4 or 5 cards with GURREN LAGANN in their name. And they gain the following ability. Auto, at the beginning of the Encore step, if this is on the center stage, deal 4 damage to your opponent. So it's beginning of Encore, so even if they're reversed, this will still resolve. They just have to be on the stage still. Which is pretty good. It doesn't need to reverse or anything. 4 damage is obviously like a big chunk of damage that might get cancelled. But it is a pretty conditionless finisher. Effectively pay 2, ditch 1, burn 4. That doesn't need a climax. So this is maybe more comparable to Last Shot Xenon or something. Here we have the Trial Deck level 3. Team Gurren's leader Kamina. During your turn, he gets 500 for each of your other Team Gurren characters, and he heals. Again, mainly just on here because he is like your fattest healer, and there's some cards that marker him. But there's also a cool level 2 that works with him in the booster pack. All of your other cards named Team Gurren's leader Kamina get plus 500 power, kind of small amount, and the following ability. Once per turn, when damage dealt by this card is cancelled, you can pay 2 stock and discard 2 Team Gurren characters to deal 4 damage to your opponent. Kind of a heavy cost, but on cancel, burn 4. Everything wants to burn 4 in this deck. On cancel, burn 4 is pretty decent. And he's also just a level assist, anyway. So kind of like a budget top end there, but again, doesn't need a climax, so maybe it has some merit somewhere. And here for my favorite top end, personally, the new teacher Yomiko. So this is the 2-1 that the level 0 can bond to on play. Has a climax combo with a yellow stock soul. When a card named For the Sake of Precious Children is placed on your climax area, you can put this card into your stock to choose a special lesson Yomiko from your waiting room and put it on the stage position this card was on. And then special lesson Yomiko is a 2-2 climax combo with the same climax. On attack, you pay 2, discard 1. If you have 4 or more Team Gurren characters, you can pay the cost, so you do need a full board. All of your characters on your center stage get the following ability until end of turn. This ability activates up to 1 time per turn. When damage dealt by this card is cancelled, you may deal 1 damage to your opponent. So the first one is giving it to itself and your other 2 characters. So it's pay 2, ditch 1 for effectively 3 shots. When the second one attacks, it gives itself and your other character both another instance. So now you're at 5 shots for 2 of these. And then if you want to do it on the third one, it adds 1 more shot and puts you at 6 shots total, which is actually more than Yami provides in Toloveru, which is pretty cool. It has some costs with it, mainly the hand. Obviously, it's not untargetable like Yami, and it doesn't draw cards on play. But it is very resource efficient, despite what it may seem. If you go into your main phase with 3 stock, just 3 stock, you can resolve 3 of them. Because you pay out the 3 stock to play your 3 2-1s. You play the climax, so all of them go to stock, so you're at 3 stock, and you have 3 of these on board. The stock soul puts you to 4. So then your first Yomiko pays down to 2, triggers to 3. Second one pays down to 1, triggers to 2, and then your third one can pay down to 0 and trigger up to 1. So you can actually just resolve everything, 6 full shots on 3 stock, which is pretty good, unless you spend stock on maintaining hand, or just not spend stock, but it lets you spend stock, which the deck kind of has to do sometimes to maintain hand, and you're still not, like, tight on anything for your end game. So here is, you might have noticed you haven't seen any cards from this set yet, like from this group of cards. The Sunder package, kind of a bunch of cards designed to work together, mainly focused around the Tangentapa Gurren Lagann 3-3. So it's a 3-3 11-5, really big. On play from hand, you choose up to 4 cards in your waiting room, and put them face up in any order underneath this as markers. And I've just noticed that, see, I copy paste these effects from the site, or like from the official site, and this says just on play from hand, and there's a change into this card, and I'm actually gonna have to check in. I feel like that's supposed to work on the change too, but regardless, on play you put any 4 cards in your waiting room and put them face up in any order underneath this as markers. And he has a climax combo with a comeback trigger. When it's placed, if you have no other characters, so this guy has to be your only character, it gets the following ability until end of turn. And the ability is a Sunder ability, which this is the first, it's the only Sunder ability even in Japanese, but it's the first one we're getting in English. And it is, at the end of the attack, you pay 2, discard 4, to choose Super Galaxy Gurren Lagann from your hand. Yeah, okay, so it is just supposed to be from on play from hand. At the end of the attack, you pay 2, discard 4, choose the Super Galaxy Gurren Lagann under it as a marker, put it on any stage position, and put this and the rest of the markers under that as markers. And they've got a video explaining the whole thing on like the official Weiss Schwarz Facebook page, where you so we'll see the card that it moves into is Super Galaxy Gurren Lagann, which if it has no markers, it gets minus 3k. On play from hand, you heal, and on play from hand, you choose a card named. Oh, I know why. The change is from hand. I'm dumb. I'm tired. I'm sorry, guys. When this card's placed on stage from hand, you choose either Art Gurren Lagann or To Save the Woman I Love, Simon, in your waiting room and put them face up under this as a marker. But if it's placed on stage from the marker area of a card named Tangentapa Gurren Lagann, it gains Sunder, Arc Gurren Lagann, pay 1. So they don't have all the reminder text on this one, but at the end of this card's battle, you can pay 1 to pull the Arc Gurren Lagann out of your markers, put it on stage, and then put this and the other markers all under that. Arc Gurren Lagann, if it has no markers under it, it gets minus 85, but it's normally a 2-1 10k. On play, you can marker the Gurren Lagann 1-0 or the Double Boomerang Spiral 1-0 combo from waiting room, put them under it as a marker. And if it's placed on stage from the marker area, it gains Sunder Gurren Lagann, which is a 1-0-65 that markers either the Simon Brainstorm or Lagann Impact. And again, if it's placed from marker area, it gains Sunder Lagann Impact. So they're sort of all the same card, just at different levels, and they break down into each other. A lot of flavor in this one. And then Lagann Impact is, he gains 2k if there is a marker under him. On play, you reveal the top card of your deck. They decided not to go with a marker from waiting room thing, since zeros, obviously, are going to be played before you have much of a waiting room. If the top card is a Team Daiguren character or a cordial, you can put it face up underneath this as a marker. And then on attack, if he's your only character, which he will be if you've done the Sunder combo, he gains a soul and gains cannot become reverse until end of turn. So you can just swing into something and he doesn't crash, which isn't really relevant. Sometimes I'm pretty sure you'd actually want to crash him sometimes, but it lets you keep like marker compression and stuff. So unrelated to the actual Sunder breakdown part, but tied into the combo, we have the Super Galaxy Daiguren. Assist, all your Team Daiguren characters in front of this get 2500 power, which is huge. So this guy's actually pretty good, just with like the combine and stuff like that need to reverse. And then when this is placed on stage from hand, you can choose a Team Daiguren character in your waiting room, return it to hand, and then change at beginning of climax phase, you return this card to your hand to play the 3-3 from your hand, which is why it only triggers from hand, and it doesn't mention change or anything. But yeah, so you'll play that from hand, you marker 4, just like normal. But it's cool because you can play the 3-2, salvage the 3-3, and then return it to hand and play the 3-3, and you've effectively gotten it down for less stock, which is nice. Here we have Piercing Sentiments, Simon and Nia. So you'll notice the 3-3 does have to be the only card on your stage, which you're like, oh, that might be hard to do if I have like back row and can't sack it off or whatever. But here we have Continuous. All of your other Team GURREN characters with a marker get 1500 power. So this is pretty good, even if you're just playing like the 1-0s and 2-1s that have markers and stuff, because you can make them really big. It can rest itself to give an GURREN Lagann +1 soul until end of turn, which makes for some nice level 2 plays. And Climax combo, put 3 characters from your stage into waiting room, which can include itself. Choose a card named My Drill is the Drill that creates the heavens in your waiting room, return it to your hand. So this is what lets you sort of like sack your board to like make room for the 3-3 to be your only character. And conveniently, it sacks your board to add the climax that the 3-3 needs back to your hand. So everything's really synergistic here, and it works together pretty well. And the combo is actually, like, in terms of damage output for cost, not that bad. You just need to be careful that you don't run into, like, a memory kick counter or something, because then your whole combo falls apart. So here's some sample deck lists. I know I've been rushing through this really fast. I just don't want to make this one take forever, because, as you guys know, I just showed a lot of cards. So here, this is pretty much the, like, deck that Japan's been running a lot. Playing the Kamina level 1 combo, the Simon level 3 combo. It's a yellow-green-red, with the green really just being there for the level 3 Nia, which I feel like somehow got left out of the cards. Level 3 Nia is a global 15 to all of your Team GURREN characters. On play, you check top X, add 1 to hand where X is the number of your Team GURREN characters. And if you have 2 or fewer cards in memory, she can rest herself to memory the 1-0 Kamina. So if you don't get your combo off, you can memory it with her to, or it memories anything in your waiting room, any character in your waiting room, but you're going to memory the Kamina so that you can use the 3-2 Simon to marker it and gain power and stuff. So yeah, these decks are playing typical, like, runner, the runner Yoko, the Nia Zero, the Salvage Brainstorm. They're playing the Lagann Impact, so that the 1-0 GURREN Lagans have targets. And the GURREN Lagann can grab the GURREN Lagans and the, like, Simon Brainstorms, I'm pretty sure. So just got, like, all the things to make, like, big level 1s and big level 2s. A copy of the 2-1 Global. Even though you're not playing the Sunder combo, it makes your guys with markers big, like I said before. It can make your Simon level 3 really big if you put a Kamina under it. And you can make your GURREN Lagann a 2-soul beater, which is pretty cool at level 2. But otherwise, it's pretty straightforward deck. Just playing a lot of the, like, pre-built sort of, like, cards that work together. Here we have a Fusion Sunder deck, this is another one that Japan's been playing a good bit. If they want to be playing the Sunder combo, this is what most of their lists look like. So you can see it's just like maxed out, or not really maxed out on a lot of the Sunder pieces, but you've got the 4 Brainstorms, the 4 Lagann Impacts, the 4 Boomerang Spirals, the 4 GURREN Lagans. It's playing 2 of the GURREN, since that can salvage like a lot of your level 1 game. And it can also salvage the 0-0 that you need for the Fusion. It's got 2 of the Global, so you can get the Climax and sack your board easier. 3 GURRENs, 2 of the Change into the 3-3, 2 of the 3-3 itself. It's just playing one copy of the 2-1, 1 copy of the 3-2, and 2 of the 0-0 for the Fusion combo, if you want to do that at level 2. The 0-0 is good anyway, because you can pump your level 1 reverse combo. But this one's pretty much just straight mono red. Lots of robots. This is a more yellow-focused build. So you got, like, just a lot of the yellow cards. We're playing the Kamina level 1 combo as our yellow advantage. We're playing the 1-1s that can't be reversed, and we're playing the Yomoko combo with the 2-1s and 2-2. Which I think at this point I'd actually bump these the 2-1s back up to 4 copies. Just because, like, having 3 stock and playing 3 of them is so easy. But yeah, and then the 3/2 GURREN LAGANN there. It can be either the GURREN LAGANN or it can be the Nia 3/2 that digs X. You really just need something that digs cards so you can grab your climax. Because this deck's biggest issue is finding the climax for your Yomeko combo. And a lot of the times you'll just be like playing the like Kamina combo to grab cards, and then you'll just play random costless dudes until like hit your opponent until you get to level 3. And your goal, or until your opponent gets to level 3 at least, and then your goal is to use the Yomeko engine to like kill them from like 3/2, 3/1 or whatever. Because shots are really good at killing people. It turns out, like really good. You don't have like a ton of range, but like if your opponent needs like 5 damage to die, you're probably killing them. Unless they just cancel really well. Not many decks in English can actually compress to the point of living through that, as I'm sure many people know, like from playing against Yami and stuff. So this is a sort of mix of like the fusion engine. It's playing a heavy line of the fusion engine with the Kamina combo. Since it's a search that if you can resolve it denies Aaron, kind of, because Aaron can't reverse it. You just have to be able to get your reverse against AOT, which is a struggle on its own. This exact list is the one that UA posted in Global. It's what he's been playing lately, and he thinks it's really good. He says that GURREN LAGANN is the second best deck in English, and I'm not sure I agree with that, but this is his list, this is what he's playing. You guys can test it out for yourselves. Again, this is one of the things, like the 1/1, don't really know if that's worth it or not. He likes it, so he can character encore his GURREN LAGANNs, which is, you know, reasonable. I haven't personally gotten to test out a lot with this list, but seems pretty solid. Plays a lot of cards we've covered already. Only new ones are really the 1/1 and the anti-change counter, which I don't know how this deck has the hand for, but, you know. So as far as meta placement goes, in the community poll, it ended up at a 6.31 out of 10 on average, which put it in tier 3 with the 12th highest rating, so it was not very high. And for UA to think this is the second best deck in English, and the average community member thinks it is the 12th best, that's pretty big difference there. But we'll find out. There haven't really been enough regionals for GURREN LAGANN. I think it was only legal for one event in Springfest, which was like Germany, and I don't know how many people cared to play it there. So maybe we'll see this fall season whether it does anything or not. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. I will have a part 2 that covers the green and blue cards that sort of are in their own build-around decks. But yeah, thank you guys for watching this one, and I'll see you guys next time on Connor's English Corner.